Welcome to Conversations in the Coop. I'm your host, Trinity Director of Athletics, Drew Galbraith. It's my pleasure to be joined today by a member of Trinity's women's basketball team, Olivia Vick. Liv, welcome to the podcast, and excited to have this conversation today. So here you are, going to school on the East Coast, but you are Chicago through and through.
I am.
So let's start there. Before we talk about basketball, before we talk about anything else, just explain how deep your Chicago fandom runs.
I was born and raised on the west side of Chicago. My mother is from a suburb of Chicago. My father is from a suburb of Chicago. So all my family is there. Most of my family is there. Grew up in the city. Went to CPS school, which is a Chicago public school. That's, like you said, that's my roots through and through. I've just been there and I've been growing up.
So what's it like? You know, you've experienced the highest of highs. You saw a Cub World Series win, a few years ago, and then some of the teams, like the Bears, have been struggling lately. So talk about the highs first, and then how low are the lows?
I think just Chicago sports, not even just Chicago basketball, but Chicago sports in general is just such a pride for the city. Whether you're on the south side with the Sox or the west side with the Cubs or the Bears or the Bulls, the Sky, anything like that, it's just such a pride for the city, and that runs through high school, through when you're a kid. Like, I grew up on being a Chicago Bears fan, loving football, playing football, and like on the basketball side, like once you get into like the basketball culture in Chicago, it really makes you who you are as a player, as a person, and it shapes you, it shapes your relationships, shapes the community you're around. So it's a really like impactful.
So growing up in a family where sports were obviously a part of it, you've got a brother who's really into sports and a sister who is more artistic, musical. So just kind of talk about where your roots for a love of basketball came from.
Yeah, so like you said, I've always been a big sports family. My brother and my father weren't really basketball people, always football people, always Bears fans. My dad played lacrosse in college, and my brother played football. He played track for a long time. And my uncle, actually, he got me into it. My dad's best friend is my uncle. He showed me the ball, and maybe 6, 7 years old, like I was still doing other things, gymnastics, soccer, like the things kids do. But like, he showed me the ball, and by the time I was 8 years old, I just fell in love with it. I would go to the YMCA with him every day, shooting, playing with the older boys, trying to work on my push-ups, things like that. Just like, I really fell in love with the progress and the process of basketball.
So you mentioned it just a second ago, the idea that the Chicago basketball culture, and so people might know it from things like Hoop Dreams. People might know it from obviously like the Bulls of the 80s and 90s with Michael Jordan, and then even your high school, Whitney Young is like well known in the basketball world as a mecca of high school basketball. So when you're kind of coming up through that, did you have either role models or people a little bit older than you that you looked up to in that process?
I think the cool thing about Chicago basketball is that there's so many role models, whether it's your peers, kids that, like, when I was a freshman, we had I think 6 Division I seniors that were all super, super nice people, like amazing basketball players, and just to be able to watch them, play with them, play through them, learn from them. And then, you get to the elders, you get to people, your trainers, people from other schools, just the old heads in basketball that likes to come to the high school games. Like, there's so many people you could learn from and so many things you could take from each one of those people. It really makes you a well-rounded player and a well-rounded person.
And how would you describe the Chicago game comparative to, whether people think about a Southern California game or New York City basketball? What distinguishes Chicago basketball?
I think the one word I could use is grit. We're just gritty, tough players, like whether it's offensively, being shifty, being aggressive, working hard, or defensively, just making sure you lock down, playing with your team. I think grit is like the best word to describe it. Everybody's super tough, and like the biggest thing is everybody works hard. You don't have anything handed to you. Like, there's kids that I've grown up with that I used to play in the gym with at 6 a.m. I used to go to 6 a.m. workouts with them that are Division I players now, or kids, I go 2-3 workouts a day with them when we were 12, 13 years old. Like, it builds a strength and it builds a love for the game that I think is unmatched, honestly.
So as you were going through high school at Whitney Young, obviously recruiting is not new to the high school, right? Lots of kids are getting recruited, lots of coaches are showing up. What was your journey like in recruiting?
Yeah, so like you said, there was a lot of coaches in and out. I had the opportunity to talk to a lot of different coaches from a bunch of different levels. Like I said, there was a lot of coaches that like maybe would come in for other kids or come in just for the team in general because we had that name attached to us. And would see, me play, see my teammates play, and like us. I would be able to talk to them. And then later in my recruiting period, like senior year, I would go to a lot of camps that I would be invited to. And that's where Trinity, the coaches found me. Trinity, I was at a
So when Coach Emily, Coach Kanika see you, what was your first reaction to Trinity? Like, where is that?
Yeah.
What is Hartford? Was it all of those things?
Yeah, honestly, I had no idea. I was sent like the little campus tour thing, and I was like, oh my gosh, this is so cool. I really liked the East Coast, and if I didn't stay in Illinois, I kind of didn't want to. I wanted to go to the East Coast. I'm really not a West Coast girl. So being in New England, I thought it was a super cool opportunity, and then I was able to come to campus, I think in September 2022, whenever my recruitment was. Just fell in love with the school, the beauty of the school, and then the team, just the chemistry, the love, and the community on the team. It really struck me, but I did not know.
So as you're going through your senior year,
yeah.
and then the team goes on a run to the Elite Eight, did that, I'm sure there's probably plenty of people in Chicago. Was it Trinity? Where's that? Which one? Did that at least validate in your mind? You could tell some people like it's them.
Yeah, for sure. It was super cool seeing them go on that run. I knew that was a thing that was super big, and I definitely did value, like good competition in the school. Actually, my great uncle went to Trinity, which is super cool. It was like a really cool little link that I had. Yeah, really cool connection. But just seeing them go on that run, it really like solidified that like this is a school that great athletics, great academics, and somewhere I really wanted to go.
So team goes through last year, get back to the NCAA tournament. Probably a run that leaves a little bit of a bad taste and everything. Like, want to go a little further. Could have definitely. I think a lot of people felt like could have gone a little further. And then Coach Garner leaves, and then you kind of start the process again in the sense of a new coaching staff. So, did you have Coach Williamson came from the University of Chicago? Did you have any connection with her when you were going through your recruiting process?
I didn't know her specifically. My trainers knew her. They knew of her. Like I said, like Chicago basketball is a very tight-knit community, so I did have some like second degree understanding of who she was. We were actually able to meet during the summer while she was still living in Chicago. We had lunch, talked, but I think it was like I was just super excited for a new opportunity to have a coach that had so many years under her belt, like so much experience, and just seemed like such a genuine person. I was super excited to be able to do that.
A lot of experience coming back from last year's team. But talk to me about how you all as a group kind of came together, because it's not just the new coach coming with an ideas, it's got to be the ideas of the team too. Sure. And like how were those conversations, and what role did you play in those? Yeah,
I mean, it's a whole new team now. We had a lot of great seniors that graduated, like some of our best players, some of our best scorers, some of our best defenders. So it was a process from the beginning when Coach Gardner left, and up until now it's going to continue to be a process, but we really banded together, and we knew that we can be great and we are great, and we have so much talent, and it was just about like making sure we were solidified through that, and we kept our heads down and we kept working on what we needed to do, and obviously the results are starting to show off.
So stylistically, seems like a fun style to play this year.
Super fun.
Just talk through that. You don't even have to compare it to anything else, but like when people come to a Trinity game, what do they see? What do they see from this group?
A lot of different players, a lot of talent, a lot of players that can do a lot of different things. There's never a dull moment when you're on the court, and everybody's always fresh. Play a really fast-paced style of basketball. Very lockdown defenders. That was one of our big things, was to be a really great defensive team from last year coming into this year. That's something that we're doing. We're showing that we know how to score, we know how to play together. And like you said, I think it's just a really fun team to watch, and it's a fun team to play with for sure.
So a few games into the year, what's something I've seen is it just teams won almost like 3 different ways in 4 games, and kind of working it in kind of inside out in a couple games, but a couple other games really more wide open perimeter games. How much confidence does that give you as a player, as a member of the team, that one person can be off and the rest of the group's going to pick them up?
I mean, our depth is our biggest strength. The fact that, like I said, we have so many players that literally can do all three levels of scoring, all three levels of defending, fresh legs every couple minutes. I think it's something that's truly unguardable and unscoutable. And the fact that we embrace that and we treasure every single play. We treasure 1 through 17 truly. It really shows within our game, and it's why I think we've had so much success thus far.
Another area that you've been involved in the student athlete community is our Athletes of Color Coalition. Just talk about what that group's meant to you in your Trinity process, but also how important it is as a group on this campus.
Yeah, I think it's super important. It's one of the reasons I love being here, just having a community that I'm able to come to as a woman of color, as someone that needed a community like that, and to be able to just be friends, to advocate for ourselves, advocate for each other, and just be a group that people can identify with. I think that's super important for me, and I have a lot of friends on that on the e-board and things like that, and I have had the opportunity to be social media manager on the e-board. So it's really just been a lot of fun, and it's a community that I really, really value.
So you're studying psychology and philosophy.
Yes.
Now, I'm going to give you the opportunity to say why that is such a good mix for you, and why maybe for others too.
Yeah, I think the most important thing maybe outside of basketball, just me as a human, is my mind and myself. And I think learning about my mind, whether that's philosophically or psychologically, is so important to me, and just bettering myself as a human and as a young adult and as a maturing woman. And also just learning about others. I think, human connection is the biggest part of our society, and to be able to understand that going into a career, just being able to understand social connections in general is something I've wanted to do since I was a 6th grader, since I knew what that was. And I'm so glad that I'm able to pursue that at school.
So as you're going through your learning in classes, do you kind of hear yourself, see yourself, feel yourself almost applying what you learn on a daily basis, whether it's in the team setting and other social settings on campus?
Of course. There's so many things that are applicable. And it's so interesting to be able to go from my social psychology class and be in a situation where it's like, oh my goodness, I learned this. Or be in a situation where I need something for myself and I'm working through an issue or, a stressful situation, and I'm able to take what I've learned and apply it and analyze myself and analyze others, and hopefully maybe even help others that may be going through things. So that's been my favorite part, just about learning on the college level.
So I'm going to kind of bring it full circle. How far can basketball go for you? What's the big audacious dream for you basketball wise?
My goal is to play overseas. My goal is to get paid for what I love to do, and maybe even coach one day, train one day, something like that. But I definitely see longevity in my career, and that's something that I've been looking towards since I was younger, and something that I'm definitely going to keep working for.
Are there parts of the world that you say, gosh, there's solid women's basketball, women's professional basketball there, and I would love to be able to live in blank part of the world?
Yeah, I mean, my first inclination is Puerto Rico. I'm Puerto Rican. I have a lot of ties to, obviously, Puerto Rico, and even just to play on the Puerto Rican national team would be a dream of mine. Besides that would be something I would love to do for a long time. But besides that, honestly, anywhere in the world, any country, to have the opportunity to learn from their culture and play basketball there, and get compensated for a sport that I love would just be a dream.
So we'll bring it back to those Chicago teams. Sky wins a championship, and you had an opportunity to meet the team afterwards. Just talk about that. It
was amazing. I think, as women's basketball, and that was around the time where women's basketball was really getting lifted up, and it's so cool that now it's put on this broad pedestal that it should have been for a very long time, and that was during the time when it was starting to get there. And to have that representation as young kids, I was a sophomore, I'm pretty sure. A lot of my team was younger, and to have women that we looked up to just shaking our hand, taking pictures with us, things like that. Those are shoes that we want to be in, and to see them in person and to speak to them and to talk to them, it really gave us fuel for that season, and it's given me fuel since then.
So the new league, the Unrivaled League, is going to start in January, 3-on-3 league, all kind of housed down in South Florida. do you see yourself as better in a 3-on-3 game, which is balls in your hands more, or in the 5-on-5 game? As 3-on-3, obviously with the Olympics, and now with a women's professional league doing it. Where's your love?
I mean, I love playing 3-on-3. I think that if I trained for it, it could be something that I would love to do. But 5-on-5 is where my heart is. Competitive basketball against 5 other players is something that obviously I've grown up on. But 3-on-3, 2-on-2, 1-on-1, it's all part of the game. So it's something I would really enjoy to do if I had the chance.
Well, Liv, we're really excited to keep watching you and your team play this season and seeing you grow at Trinity.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
That'll do it for this conversation on the Coop. For all the latest news, scores, and schedules, go to bantamsports.com. Follow us on social @bantamsports. Until next time.